Hey guys, welcome back to Innovation. Today we're going to be checking out a cargo trailer from PACYCLE. And we checked out their hitch rack. Recently did a video on that. The GoPro audio kind of sucked if you saw that. So that's why we're using this new setup. So hopefully the audio sounds a little bit better for you guys. Now, there's a lot of cool things about this cargo trailer that I personally like. Now, if I do any sort of marketing content or video creation, things like that, I got to carry around quite a bit of gear. And I've always just kind of lugged it in backpacks or, try to balance it on rear racks and things like that. But having something like this, I can fit, huge bags. I can take my extra light. I can take all sorts of stuff in this thing. So for me personally, this has a lot of really cool use cases. Now, I'm going to be going over my specific use cases, but as I'm talking about things that I would throw in there, this is something where you kind of be thinking like, hey, what would I be throwing in there? For example, we've got this really long section here. So we got two different sections. We've got the larger section, which I've already got the liner installed on here. It also comes with a top cap, so you can put that around there, and you have some actual protection for the stuff that's in here, which is pretty cool, pretty handy. And this one is enclosed, right? So we've got, that's the square footage that we're working with right here. On this side, it's open. So if you want to throw in, even some 8-foot boards, surfboards, skateboards, anything that's long and kind of cumbersome to carry on a bike, they did leave this nice big slot open for us to be able to kind of put some really long, skinny things here, which is very interesting. So for me, that might be a light stand, right? Even compressed, they're probably 4 feet long, and something like that, that would be something that would fit in really good in this particular thing. Or if I have my scrim, something like that, something that's a little bit big and bulky that you generally wouldn't want to take on a bike. Now we kind of have the option to do that with this nice little lane they've got here. Now to install it, I'm going to put on this electric XP light, and that's just kind of to showcase it can pretty much go on anything. I probably have some bikes that are more suitable for this. I've still got the I'm a Big Sur in the garage, and that might be the sort of bike this would fit on a little bit better. But again, we're just kind of showing that it could kind of go on anything. As long as our attachment point, which is right here, fits around your axle, you'll be pretty much good to go. So let's go ahead and demonstrate that. We'll get it installed on the bike to show you how easy this is, and then we'll talk about a little bit more about the trailer itself. All right, so now I got you sit down on the ground over there. All you're gonna need is an 18mm wrench. Now, if you have a socket set, that will probably make this a lot easier, but a lot of people get these with different bikes that they get, or might have an extra 18mm kind of liner around the house. So that's why I'm using this particular one. So we'll go ahead and loosen this. I said loosen. That was on there pretty good. Boom. So I'm just going to slide our nut off here. I'm going to install this bad boy. I'm just going to keep it on the outside. Now it looks like this, well, it doesn't quite fit in here with the flanges on it. So I am going to, no, I'm not. I'm going to leave it there. Let's see, so we'll start right here. Now, what I would probably do, and I have some extra washers lying around somewhere, is get another washer. That way this is, well, you know what, that fits on there pretty decently. And even though we are getting quite a bit of space here on the XP light, we do have quite a bit of threads left to tighten this down on. So sometimes with a lot of these bikes, they don't really have the threads for that. Now, here's a pro tip. So it's still a little bit loose. What we're going to do is we're going to install the connection point here before we tighten this up all the way so we can get the right angle on it. We did a lot of removing something like this recently for a video, and it was always kind of a pain in the butt until 3 or 4 bikes into it, we're like, oh, if we just leave it kind of loose, then it gives us a lot of flexibility to get this in there the way it needs to be. So let's see what's happening here. I don't have it lined up quite right. There we go. All right, so it goes in there pretty easy. You got this nice little safety clip here to pop that on. And now that we've got this kind of set up, what we can do is get this tightened down. Now the XP light, since we got these 20-inch regular size tires, the 2.6s on here. They're going to be a little bit smaller than those 20x4s that are on the trailer. So I like that pretty good. And let's go ahead and check this out. So we've got it installed. You can see we've got our attachment point installed here. We've got our safety pin here. And then we also get this extra little strap here to, usually I've been strapping this around the frame. Now there might be some better spots and stuff on how to do this, but this is generally what I've been doing, is just picking apart the frame and running this back around, making sure it's, you know, clear of the brakes and the calipers and all that jazz. We'll get that plugged in here. All right, so we get that plugged in, and now we are pretty safe, pretty ready to roll here. Now, before we do sort of riding around, let's go ahead and pop back here. As I mentioned, these are 20x4-inch tires. Now, these are Kenda Crusades, which are already pretty cool tires. You see these on bikes quite a bit, so it's cool that we have those here, which is, yeah, just nice to see. Something we're familiar with. Looks pretty sweet. And then over here, same thing on the other side. Kind of look at the profile here. This thing is pretty big, fairly light, and one of my favorite things about it is if you're storing it for a certain amount of time, the whole thing breaks down. You can pop the wheels, have the axles, boom, both sides. You can fold this down fairly easily. Just a couple of screws. We're going to loosen that. And these guys fold in, and it folds down. So it's a flat package, and it's pretty much less than 3 inches on this side, because everything kind of folds down from that axle there. So all in all, pretty sweet. And then with this side, because this one doesn't have that support beam in the middle, you can actually take this out if you wanted to. I'm not exactly sure why you'd want to do that, but you could pop those out and then fold it down. Well, you have to remove these nuts and stuff, so you probably wouldn't want to do that. But you know, it's not hard to customize this thing if you wanted to, you know, adjust it a little bit. For me, I'd pretty much rock this regular setup. Now, as I mentioned, we do have this top cap, which we can throw on here. That's probably easier with 2 hands. But to give you an idea, it just sits around the whole outside of it. And we got some Velcro straps for it. So you can really protect whatever's in there. I mean, it's not like secure or anything, but it is going to protect it from dirt, dust, etc. So for me, you know, throwing camera gear and stuff in the back, that would be what I'd be looking to do. So honestly, pretty stoked about it. Wish I would have had this 2 or 3 years ago. 2 years ago, we were doing a lot of stuff where we were taking the camera equipment in a ton of different spots. And every time I was like, oh, I need to get one of those. Never did. Finally picked one up. And now I'm kind of looking for reasons to use it. So I am pretty stoked. We haven't used it yet. I mean, everything's brand new. Just assembled it, put it together, going over some of the talking points here. And so I'll probably have to do a follow-up video, you know, after we get to use it a couple times, see if there's anything that, you know, we need to do to modify it. And that'll be a cool second video. So that's pretty much going to do it for the overview part. Now, what we are going to do is ride around a little bit with it, and let's see how she rolls. So I'm on the XP Lite. Now, not wearing a helmet. You should always wear a helmet. We're just going to be toting around, really just kind of looking back here. Maybe if you just look here, you forget I'm not wearing a helmet. So go ahead and put it in pedal assist level 1. And we'll use that throttle. You know, I actually can't even tell this thing is following me, which is pretty impressive. So yeah, pulling right along. As far as like maneuverability, I don't really feel like it's impacting my maneuverability at all, which is very interesting. And yeah, there it is. She's rolling back there. You know, and if you had this thing all loaded up with gear, you know, that's, you know, you'd probably be able to tell it was loaded up with gear. But it's nice that the main thing that we're putting back there, you can't really tell. So, you know, whatever you throw on there, that would be really what you're feeling. Seems to roll really nice, even though it's not weighted down with anything. It's not bumping or jumping or anything like that. Honestly, pretty impressive. Pretty darn impressive. And like I said, I haven't gotten to use it yet for something big, you know, for my use case, you know, throwing in some camera equipment and whatever, but I am looking forward to doing that. So let's go ahead and park the XP light someplace it's not going to fall over. It's always important. Make sure your bike's not falling over. Let's see here. So, yeah, I mean, it attaches here. Honestly, feels very light, very nimble. And honestly, it's really not that heavy. I mean, you can lift this thing up. You know, you can definitely tell you're lifting something, but it's not overly heavy. It's not overly robust because everything is, you know, thinner and made to be portable and foldable, all that jazz. This is something that, yeah, would make a pretty decent, you know, beach cart for your e-bike. If you're crazy like that, you want to take your e-bike to the beach, you could do that with this thing because it folds down. So even if you have, you know, a folding bike, you're like, oh, I got an SUV, something like that, fold up your bike, fold up your cart, and you could take all of that to the beach and have a pretty cool little setup. So first impressions, pretty nice. Looking forward to, again, getting to test it out, and we'll get you guys another update video when we do that. So thanks for hanging out with me. Looking forward to testing this guy out, and we'll catch you on the next one.